Steve Moran here with Senior Housing Forum, and I want to welcome you to another Senior Housing Forum podcast. Today I have a really, really cool story we're going to talk about, and so we're doing this by Zoom. I've got three friends from Gencare Lifestyles. Is the company, and the building is Mallard. Help me with the name. I'm going to get it wrong.
Ballard Landmark.
Ballard Landmark in the Seattle area, and I've been friends with Mindy. We've actually done an interview and a story about her before, but she's been talking to me because they ran at 100% occupancy for 100 days plus, right?
Yes.
So what I want to actually do before we get to that, I want to start by just having you talk a little bit about Gencare Lifestyle, what your secret sauce is, how big you are, and that kind of thing, and then we'll move into how you got to that 100% mark.
Well, we are
Introduce yourself first. All three of you.
Leon Grunstein, the founder and CEO, and I'm here with Danielle Parker, who is the executive director of the Ballard Landmark, and of course, Mindy Byers, who is our marketer here at the Ballard Landmark.
And you have 4 communities all in the Seattle area, is that right?
Yeah, we have 4 communities in the Seattle metropolitan area, and we have 1 under construction, 159 units in Tacoma, Washington, and we are in the process of buying another 105 unit in just south of Seattle in an area called Federal Way. And we have purposely kept our company small because we're very concerned about delivering quality service and implementing our plan. One of the things we pride ourselves about is doing what we say we're going to do. We're not here just to give industry jargon. We're here to implement and make life better for our residents. And that's how we got to whole life living and the 4 facets of whole life living, which are.
Can you talk to me a little bit about what whole life living is and means and what that looks like for both residents and for staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I was, in putting the company together, I was thinking what really drives things, and this was about 7 years ago. And I was looking at what residents really need and want, and what can make us a differentiator in the market, not to just attract residents, but to attract staff. So we looked at first culinary, because we know what we put in our bodies drives the engine. It helps prevent crashes if you're eating too many carbohydrates. If you have a balanced diet, it helps a lot. It also helps manage diabetes. It helps you sleep better if you're eating a balanced diet. And it reduces the incidence of cancer if you're eating healthy. And so we wanted to incorporate all these things. And we went to a local university, a naturopathic university here in the Seattle area that's nationally renowned, called Bastyr. And we worked with them to create a menu of whole and organic food. And it took a year just to develop the recipes and menus before we could even implement it. And we're a small company, so I think it'd be a daunting task for a larger organization. So with the culinary, we know we're feeling better because we're eating better and we have more energy. Then we move to physical fitness. And we know that if we have good fuel in our body, we're going to be more apt to exercise. And we know exercise helps us sleep better, once again manages diabetes, reduces fall risks, make you think better, you get more blood to the brain, you think better, so you're feeling better. So the third facet was mental fitness, stay sharp mental fitness. And because you're eating better and you're feeling better, you're going to think better. And so we have a bunch of initiatives in our program that are brain stimulus. We've have video games, we have card games, we have actually dance is a brain stimulator because you're using synapses to learn new movements, whether you're standing, dancing around, or whether you're doing it in a chair. So we try to do initiatives like that. And so that's the third facet. And then the fourth facet is purpose. We all need purpose, no matter what age we are. So we have a purpose-based agenda for our fourth facet. We've done things like partner with the Jamie Moyer Foundation, which he is an ex-Major League pitcher. He focused on youth. He used to pitch for the Mariners. And we did some support for him in his grieving camp for children 17 and under who lost a parent or loved one. Our residents made blankets or teddy bears or journals for these kids. We also do USO and other community-based activities, memoirs, helping kids from various grades in school do term papers or profiles of our residents. And some of this stuff, it just makes the residents feel better and gives them a reason for getting up every day. So those 4 facets make whole life living. Now, I'm sure you've heard this story before from other operators, but where we are with our staff is we implement them and we track everything that our residents do, and we grade we call them director of vitality. Some people call them activity directors, but we call them DOVs, director of vitalities. So we grade them and track them, not only what residents participate in, but percentage the residents participate, and how this impacts the energy in the building and helps the marketing for the building. So we also make sure that our staff, as much as they can, participate in activities with the resident. If they have a certain skill, or even if they just like doing their nails, we include that. And we also track how many staff participate, because that's a mandate for our operational side. The staff like it. It gets them more engaged, breaks up the monotony of their day. The residents love it. They actually participate more when they know a staff person is involved. So we're just about whole life living, not only includes the residents, but the staff, and it's total engagement.
That is cool. I really like that a lot. I think that we tend to fall into this idea that it doesn't matter too much what people eat when they get older, because they don't have that much longer to live. And yet we actually know that diet, maybe even when you're older, is when it's most important. And so I really like that. And I love the purposeful living part of it. I think that we have this sort of tradition of in senior living of being very entertainment focused, and certainly entertainment's an important part of life for all of us. But if we strip out that purpose part, it really takes away the reason to live. So that's just really, really powerful.
Yeah, and the one other anecdotal thing I'd like to say is I have people working for me who are very seasoned. They've come from, for the most part, larger companies. And the reason they like being here is because we implement what we say. A lot of the larger companies have initiatives. They may run a good operation, but they don't have the depth of engagement that we have. And I think it gives our staff a very satisfying workplace. I've had people here, 11 years. And Danielle has been here, I don't know, how many years you've been here, Danielle?
I initially started in 2007 at a little building in Granite Falls. And I left for a short while to get my nursing degree. So I'm a registered nurse now, and I came back in 2014, and I've been here since as the executive director with that nursing degree, because I wanted to bring the nursing component back to the whole life living component and sort of marry the two.
I'm sure that's a huge asset as you're working with families, and they're always I know there's always challenging healthcare issues that the families and residents deal with as we age, and so that's really good. So we didn't really talk about this question, and so it's a little unfair, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway, since you sort of led me down this path. Can you talk a little bit about your staff turnover rates?
Well, on a global level, I can give you, and then Danielle can talk about this building.
Perfect.
Our staff turnover is relatively low on the senior positions, meaning anything above wait staff,
yep,
housekeeping, and some culinary. It's very, very low. The entry-level positions, as in any company, when you're paying, at least in Seattle, the minimum now is $15 an hour, you do have a fair amount of turnover. And we expect that most people don't come in saying, I want to make a career out of being a waitstaff person.
You bet.
So that's just kind of built into the model. I've had several people here that have been here, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. They came on early in the process and have, embraced it. And we have started to attract, particularly with these 2 new projects we're bringing on board, some very qualified people who are leaving larger companies because they've, word of mouth in the industry, they talk, everyone talks.
Mhm.
So when they hear that what we're doing and the quality of what we're doing, they say, we'd really like to work here. We're still very selective, but we're getting people approaching us now saying, you have a cool product, we like the way you do it. We're not so removed in a large company from, being engaged and being listened to. We like it.
That's good. I think that having that kind of a reputation is probably the very best thing you can do to recruit and ultimately retain staff. So that's terrific.
Well, I'm preaching to the choir again here is that you can have the really unique concept or building. If you don't have the right people, it's not going to work.
That's right.
And you're going to fail. And so, our philosophy, it's all about the people too. So
Yep.
we want first class delivery of service. We want first class people. We treat, our staff. We have, for example, a 401k program for people who work as little as 19 hours a week. And, we try and enrich their lives. And we even say, well, you may not work here forever, but we want to give you some training that you can, and life, lessons that you can take on with you in your next step.
Exactly.
Terrific. Anything else you want to add to that, Danielle?
So specifically here at Ballard Landmark, I'll say I've been here a little over a year now. Had the pleasure of being here a little over a year. And when I first came on, we did have some turnover. That, like with any new manager, there's turnover, and you're really building your team. But since, I would say about halfway through, what I noticed, and like Leon said, our leadership roles, all of our department heads, we've been together the whole time. I started with this team, and it's the same team that when I started with. The corporate staff are the same corporate staff I've worked with for the last 4 years, and Mindy has beyond that. So leadership roles are definitely, they're staying put. And then even our sort of ancillary staff, our servers and our housekeepers and our fabulous dishwashers that we have working for us, they're moving up too. They're going to front desk positions, and they're going off to college. And so that's what I'm seeing at a building level. And that's something that we promote. I personally started as a dining room server in a retirement community. So we're always looking for talent and promoting from within.
Those start at the bottom stories and moving into an executive director stories are just terrific stories. I've got one that I wrote just a few weeks ago. I don't think it's been published yet, but by the time this podcast is out, we'll be up. And it's somebody who came out of an abusive relationship and is now an administrator of a skilled nursing. She became a CNA and then a med tech and worked at the front desk and went off and got her degree. And then, so really those are just, and this is a very unique industry that does that, I think, probably more than just about any other industry out there, where people can start really with no education and just a willingness to work hard. And so I love those stories. Okay, so let's talk about occupancy. So Mindy, you reached out to me, I don't know, a month or so ago, and to tell me that you were almost at 100 days and thought you were going to make it. How many days did you go to 100%, and how did you get there? And where are you at today? So you got 3 questions to work with.
Okay, I'll start from the very beginning. Really, I had reached out to the team, our leadership team, and said, it was February 23rd, and said, let's go for 100%. It had been a long time since we had been 100% in the building, and it was a goal. Everybody has to have that goal and plan and so forth. And they were like, kind of like, okay, Mindy, we trust you on this. And we did it. March 31st, we made that happen, and we celebrated, and I think the team thought it was over. And then I was like, let's go for the 100 for 100 days, 100% for 100 days. And then I started really researching who does that and who out there in the industry really has those kind of goals and can rally the team and go, we can do it. And the end of April came and went, and we were riding 2 months, and we were always shooting for June 1st. And so that really got strategic, let me tell you. So March, we had move-outs. We had a total of 6 in that time frame of move-outs. And that required my maintenance guy, our maintenance guy, to come in at 2 in the morning and turn an apartment. And his willingness and his can-do attitude is what I can't say thank you enough. It's our culinary director that when we had tours, coming out and bringing new dishes that she was trying and experimenting and getting the new family members excited. It was working 24/7 with the team and our wellness director, going out at all hours of the week and to doing assessments. That's how it's done. But without that vision, that goal, the planning, and constant talking about it, and building each other up, and we would not have done it. So June 1st, we got off the ledge, and actually, thankfully, because what happens when you're at 100%, you can only retain we're in the business of helping families, and so usually it's great to say you're 100%, but you also have to have a plan for helping those families. So we worked on a time frame, and really dived into how to continue on helping the families with their time frame. So again, yes, we had people that needed higher level of care and went out, but we also had families that could circulate and come right back in. So at 99.6%, we got one apartment. It's already the 13th. By the end of the month, we'll be 100% again. But that's not really the focus now. The focus is really going back to helping the families, and we've achieved our goals. We wanted to see if we could do it. We did it. It made our team so much stronger, and the respect factor of each individual's jobs, I can't even tell you. I think if anything that I've learned in this process is really having the appreciation for each team member. Every team member, not just leadership, every single team member. And the value that they took on. There's no trash that was left untouched. And that's when you know you've made a difference. And that it just makes me proud to be the marketing director for Ballard Landmark.
I really love this idea that the team came together for a common goal, for a common good. I think that oftentimes that really gets missed in senior living, that people just go off and do their jobs, but we haven't this goal. And until you were really talking about this 100% and sort of pulling back from that and the challenges, I hadn't really thought about it, but you're absolutely right. Being at 100% forever could make you make decisions that are not necessarily in the best interest of the residents. And 99.6, is that right? That's not bad. Not bad at all. So the interesting question, and I'm sure you've started to think about this, is now that you've achieved that and you're at this great place, how do you keep, what do you do to maybe the next stretch goal for your team, whether it's occupancy or something else, to keep pulling together? Any thoughts on where you're going to go now?
Yes. So each month, I start planning the next month. Right now, I'm already starting to look and forecast for July. But for June, we had forecasting 5 move-outs. And so then you're working with those 5, the families, and you're basically telling your team, we have stand-up every morning. I'm sure every community probably has some sort of stand up. Ours is really goal centric of what are we doing? How are we doing that? How can we help one another? And really listening and identifying if someone's short or, the plethora of stuff that happens. With marketing, it's really getting the team and consistently working with this is what we have coming. We have these apartments. I have this assessment. I know this person's not moving out, but we're preparing probably for, I have got somebody that is probably not going to come back to our building, hasn't officially given us notice, but I'm already preparing for the next family and I'm getting my team going, we got to do an assessment now. Let's go work with this family in case if this were to happen. So it's always forecasting and going after it.
Right. Absolutely. And the team anticipating too. So that resident that's in question, the wellness director or the nurse that's doing the assessment or seeing if that person can come back is going and having those conversations with family there at the skilled nursing center saying, this may or may not work. You should start to give notice at this point, communicating it with Mindy. They all sort of are doing the same job to help all of these families, whether they stay or they go off to higher level care and we help another new family.
And I have to add something that's been really kind of since we've really started working with the wellness department, this kind of has trickled down to the social workers. So my referral base, I'm going directly because they see how we operate and communicate, and they're picking up the phone. They're not going to a referral agency or anything. They're picking up the phone going, I really think this family would be such a great fit. I love the fact that your nurse and your executive director just has a passion, the same passion that you have, Mindy, they have it. And we want them here. We think this would be a great fit. I have heard that more times in the last 6 months. And that, again, just makes a marketer super, uber happy.
Well, I think there are two really cool lessons there. The first for me is that so often I hear, we just can't get in to see the social workers anymore at the hospitals. They're too busy. They put up barriers. They just send people off to one of the referral agencies. And what you really demonstrated is that when you're doing an amazing level of care, it means they see a difference. And so at least when it comes to you, that relationship is worthwhile maintaining. And so from a financial perspective, I mean, you really get a double win there. The first, of course, is the high occupancy, but it means you're not paying those fees. And those fees, they add up to a ton of money. And a lot of companies are paying tens of thousands of dollars a year. I'm sorry?
I said I want to interrupt you on that because through that, I want to make it clear that we haven't had any referral fees through all of this.
Wow.
And so, that's part of really the critical value of really working with our team to be that example and kind of that shining light that we are different and it's our approach. And so I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's.
No, that's okay. That's a good interruption. So, well, listen, I just really appreciate this so much. I hope that this is really, for the people who are watching and listening to this, that this is just really an inspiring picture of what people can do when the team is working together and working in the local marketplace. And there's one other thing I want to say, and I'm afraid it's going to come across a little insulting, but I don't want, it's not meant that way. The one thing I want to say is I've been to the community, and it's an older building, so this is like not a super, it's beautiful, but it's not the super Taj Mahal. And I think there's a sense that you can only do this with new buildings. And what you've done is you've taken an older building and what you've created is the perfect lifestyle, which is what's really important, because every building gets older, right? It doesn't matter if you can have the new building tomorrow, 10 years now, somebody else is going to come along, and what you've done is do something that's completely sustainable. So I hope that's not an insult, but I just
one comment. We say this to our staff and in our executive meetings. You don't have to have the shiniest penny on the block. You have to deliver the service. Right. You have to have the energy in the building, and good things will happen. And once it's all about the people, I got to say, And our other buildings, except for Linwood, which is under a remodel right now, are about 100% as well. But you walk in and the staff have a bounce in their step when they are prideful about having 100%.
Yeah.
And it lifts their spirits, and they just lift their game.
Yeah, being there, once you get there, it's a lot easier to stay there because everybody's just firing on all cylinders and fired up. And so this has been great storytelling. I really appreciate it so much, and look forward to getting this edited and out. Any last words of wisdom I should get from you before I call the recording to a stop?
No, I think we're just
excited.
We're excited and we're flattered that you pick us, and we work hard. We're kind of below the radar, which is okay with us.
Yep.
We just want to deliver good service and everyone be prideful on what they do.
Well, I think there are a number of below the radar companies that are oftentimes doing, more amazing things than people who are often in the spotlight. And so it's really good to be able to shine the light on folks like you who are doing that. So again, I just appreciate it so much. I want to say to the audience, thanks so much for participating in this video podcast or this audio podcast as it may be. If you have a great story, I would love to have you reach out to me like Mindy reached out to me for this story. And we may very well feature you on another Senior Housing Forum podcast. So thanks for joining us for this episode, and we'll have another one for you soon. That's it for this episode of the Senior Housing Forum podcast. You can check out our other great resources at www.seniorhousingforum.com. I wanted to close by saying lead well, lead strong, and more than anything else, lead with great compassion. If you have an idea for this podcast, we'd love to hear about it. My name is Steve Moran, and you can email me at smoran@seniorhousingforum.net. See you next time.